The desert ground glowed under a scorched orange veil as the sun set low behind Flagstaff's red hills. Janelle Brown stood in her tiny kitchen drinking coffee with the same still ritual she'd maintained for years in her humble rented place at the town's rim. But the fatigue once etched in her eyes had changed, now filled instead with determination, intensity. Gone was the woman who had once introduced herself as the steady supporter, the practical partner, the peaceful wife. In her place stood someone stronger, sharper, silent, but written across every face with pain. From episode 1 of this season, audiences knew it. Janelle was finished acquiescing. What ultimately sent her over the edge was unfathomable: the death of her son, Garrison. Although the signs had been mounting for months, perhaps even years, it was this moment that broke the delicate equilibrium. The tragedy shocked the entire Brown family, but Janelle found herself isolated, alone in the center of others' bereavement. Kody waited until she joined her. Robyn never visited. Instead, she sent a few generic empty texts. "Hey, hello everyone, welcome back to Reality Recap. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up." It was clearly evident. Janelle was no longer included in the so-called inner circle. The evening before Garrison's memorial, she cried alone in her bedroom, and when she spoke in her own interviews, her voice had changed, from exhausted to resolute. Wide-eyed, she said to the camera, "I kept thinking this time would be different, that maybe, just maybe, Kody would come through, that he'd show up, be a father, act like a husband. But there was only silence. All I got was abandonment. Again." Her sorrow inward turned, but not for long. By the second episode, Janelle's actions did the talking. She wasn't merely hanging on, she was plotting. Instead of meeting up with Kody to discuss retirement, she met with an attorney specializing in real estate. Instead of fantasizing about a future together, she began to imagine freedom, financial freedom. Off camera, she explained to producers that none of the joint family assets were in her name. Every house, every investment she helped create over the years, it was all in Kody and Robyn's names. Late at night, in a quiet voice memo, she admitted, "I spent decades creating a life that isn't even legally mine. I sacrificed everything. And for what?" But the anger had abated. Janelle was prepared to begin anew. Robyn Brown, meanwhile, had become more isolated within her sprawling compound, once referred to as the palace by devotees. Kody's anxiety was raw, his temper short. Robyn had secretly hoped that with Christine gone and Janelle receding, Meri would remain loyal, a friend, a visible supporter. But that too came apart. The drift was subtle initially. Meri began to drift away, fewer texts, less visits. It all came to a head after Dayton's birthday party. Robyn had been controlling for a long time by staying close on an emotional level, hugging, crying, playing the victim. But this time Meri felt blindsided. She learned about the birthday party through social media. In a gentle, heartbreak-heavy confessional, Meri said, "I thought we were friends, but I didn't even matter enough for a text." She attempted to call Robyn that night. Nothing. Instead, it was Kody who reached out to her, in the form of a message saying she'd been too negative recently, and that Robyn needed some space. The on-stage drama showdown fans had been waiting for finally went down in the following episode. Meri entered Robyn's house, but no cameras trailed along. Only a secret mic picked up her words. Her low, toxic voice landed the punch. "You used me," she said flatly. "You never cared about sisterhood. You only pretended. When Christine and Janelle began to awaken, you relied on me to be your faithful backup, so you wouldn't appear so alone." Robyn's instinct was immediate. Tears. But this time, Meri didn't flinch. But this time, Meri didn't let it slide. "Don't do that," she said firmly. "Don't use tears to manipulate me." While the rest of them fell apart, Robyn cried for years, and when Meri's loyalty no longer served her, she tossed it aside and fed it to the wolves. Then, red with fury, Kody barged into the room, but Meri didn't spare him either. "Once you vowed I was your soulmate. Now I'm just some embarrassment that humbles you. What do you know, Robyn? You two are worth every bit of what you've made." She turned and walked out, never giving a backward glance. After that volatile episode, something remarkable was noticed by fans. Meri and Janelle became reunited quite regularly, hush-hush, and well away from the cameras. They had been formal, yet reserved for years, but betrayal had united them. And then, a surprise. Meri shared a daring plan that would shake the Brown family to its core. In a secretly recorded conversation, she explained to Janelle, "I want to do a podcast, not just mine, about everything: polygamy, the lies, the legal traps, the way Robyn manipulated us all." Janelle nodded. She already had a ghostwriter she was working with. Her own memoir was underway. "Let's do it," she said. "Let's tell the truth. All of it. No more pretending." They started constructing a shared platform to take back their voices together. They discussed sharing the truth, diving into financial audits on the Brown family LLCs, exploring property ownership, and potential legal recourse. When Robyn overheard rumors of this union, she allegedly fainted in her bedroom, weeping into Kody's chest. "She's trying to destroy me," she wept. Kody, fretting back and forth in the kitchen, grumbled that the women had gone to war. But for the first time in quite some time, neither of them was in charge. Rather than pandemonium, the tale crept toward a creepy silence, a baleful quiet. Robyn paced her cavernous house, stopping to gaze at family photos of individuals who were no longer hers. In another part of the house, Kody was yelling into the phone, perhaps to an attorney. The camera remained on Robyn's face, formerly soft with tears, now etched with fear. Then it moved on to something quite different. Meri and Janelle sat facing a podcast producer in a Utah studio, microphones set before them. "This isn't just about us," Meri declared. "It's about every woman who was told that silence equals loyalty." Janelle leaned in, her voice calm and grounded. "We were sister wives, but now we're sisters." The first 3 episodes of their podcast, tentatively titled Unspoken Wives, had already been recorded in secret. Only a handful of trusted producers and one ironclad NDA stood between the project and the world. No promotion, no warning, no family heads up. It was all intentional, designed to come like a bolt of lightning. Janelle had been careful with the legal end. Each contract, each copyright, each business choice was done independently from the Brown family assets. She filed the podcast under a brand new LLC in her name. While Meri devoted herself to the telling, her formerly muted voice at last boomed back with cutting acuteness. She turned pain into meaningful words. Her diary became monologues. Launch night, Meri sat alone in the hotel room in Salt Lake City, her eyes fixed on the laptop. Her finger rested over the publish button. She called Janelle. "Are we ready?" Janelle answered quickly. "We've been ready. The day they chose our loyalty wasn't worth their truth. We were ready." Meri clicked publish. The opening line of episode 1, chosen then forgotten, echoed. "Before I knew I was just an excuse, I spent 32 years trying to set an example. My name is Meri Brown." And in a flash, for the first time on camera, Meri validated it. Robyn, the puppeteer behind the curtain. And Kody had played her emotionally for decades. She continued to explain how Robyn placed herself into almost every significant conversation in the family, every significant family decision. She told how Robyn had supposedly orchestrated the secretive relocation of the family to Flagstaff, not to create togetherness, but to keep Kody apart from the rest. It wasn't about creating intimacy, it was about access to his time, his finances, his commitment. By episode 2, it was Janelle who dominated. Her tone was soothing, nearly medical, as she provided crisp fiscal facts. She had invested almost $200,000 into the Arizona property, waiting with hope that it would someday be her home. Her name, however, never appeared on the deed. "I made the payments," she explained. "They signed the documents. I trusted them, and they deceived me." She went on to explain how Kody and Robyn, without notice to Janelle, Meri, or Christine, had clandestinely formed an LLC, listing only themselves as managers. Then they deposited joint family property in that vehicle. The audience was shocked. Legal commentators weighed in. Reddit forums and reality TV blogs went crazy. Public opinion changed overnight. Suddenly, the story wasn't poor Robyn cleaning up after all these people. Now she was the genius, one constructing her own empire, employing the others as scaffolding. Within the walls of her Arizona house, Robyn unraveled. She reportedly hurled a glass bowl against the wall when she first heard the leaked podcast audio, and Kody, who attempted to soothe her, was visibly shaken. "They can't do this to us," she wept. "They're twisting everything around. They're making us look bad." But Kody's fury wasn't at Meri or Janelle. It was self-serving, accusatory, and squarely at Robyn's doorstep. "You promised me they'd be loyal," he snarled. "You assured me Meri wouldn't flip. You assured me Janelle wasn't a threat. You lied." For the first time, Robyn saw it. Kody wasn't angry. He was terrified. Not of Meri and Janelle, but of what they might reveal next. Soon after, the two women went fully public. 3 weeks into the podcast's launch, Meri and Janelle appeared live on Good Morning America. Sitting side by side, poised and resolute, they spoke directly to the nation. "This isn't revenge," Janelle told the host. "It's recovery. We've lived through decades of emotional neglect, spiritual pressure, and manipulation." Meri filled in the blanks. Polygamy wasn't the failure. The secrecy was. In private, Kody seethed. He made frantic phone calls to TLC executives, insisting that they take action. "They're breaking their contracts," he fumed on a leaked voicemail. "They're defaming the Sister Wives brand." But the network refused to budge. Since the podcast debuted, ratings had soared. One producer reportedly told a fellow staffer, "If it's their lived experience, it's not defamation." Then came the tipping point. Janelle's attorney issued a formal letter demanding a forensic review of all Brown family business dealings from the past decade. Where did the money from the Flagstaff land sales go? Who controlled the LLCs? Were profits funneled into Robyn's private accounts? Had the other wives been deceived, legally? At a family gathering, Robyn broke down again, sobbing that she felt under attack. Off camera, Kody stormed away. He informed producers, "If it's a war you wanted, you're about to get one." But the tide had shifted. The public was no longer with them. Fans began circulating old clips. Robyn gaslighting Christine, Kody shrieking at Janelle, Meri suffering quietly in the background. Kody no longer dictated the narrative. The women did. The season finale ends with Meri and Janelle appearing together in a podcast recording studio. Their program now has close to 10 million downloads. There is a book deal. There are calls from Hulu and Netflix. A documentary series is in the early stages of development. Robyn, once the legally wedded wife, now resides in all but total isolation, within a mansion constructed upon deception. And Kody, the former patriarch, sits alone, pondering how it all fell through. And where they all ended up, the women didn't just leave. They rose, together. And that wasn't the end of the story. Sister Wives. Season 19 concluded with its last TLC episode on June 15, 2025. In a 4-part tell-all special, the then-existing relationship dynamics after Kody Brown broke up with Meri, Christine, and Janelle were revealed. On the season finale, host Sukanya Krishnan simply asked the family's former patriarch if he'd ever go back to polygamy. To everyone's shock, Kody acknowledged that he didn't want to live that type of lifestyle anymore. He attributed it to his sheer love for Robyn, that falling so hard for her tore everything else down. Now, he maintained, he's content to be monogamous. His affection for Robyn remains the same, and he's willing to remain loyal to her alone. But Robyn didn't get it out. "This isn't how I wanted things to turn out," she admitted during an interview of her own with Krishnan. "I wanted to be part of something bigger, a big picture, a big family." She announced she's still willing to have new sister wives if the situation should ever come up. Nevertheless, she said, "Kody is enough for me right now." Meri was less forthcoming. She conceded she's not dating and is single, although she still has faith in polygamy, if everyone participating is equally dedicated. Janelle concurred. She expressed she remains open to the idea, but doesn't foresee it taking place in her life again anytime soon. Christine, however, had already taken her position. Though she didn't address it directly during the finale, she said in an interview with Us Weekly way back in 2023 that she was going to focus solely on her relationship with David Woolley, without ever having to handle the burden of plural marriage again. David, who appeared on the tell-all, supported her wholeheartedly. The owner of the construction company didn't pull any punches. He said Kody had been an untruthful husband, not only to Christine, but to all of them. David bluntly contradicted Kody's premise that polygamy itself had broken down. "The men destroy it," he stated. He went on to say that in his experience, men in plural marriages tend to pit wives against each other, wanting to be fought over. "They kill off these women," he continued. For David, Kody's self-centeredness and lack of accountability were what brought down the Brown family in the end. Nevertheless, Kody remained adamant to place the blame on his ex-wives. By the finale's end, he explained to the camera, "I didn't begin mean, but once they broke up, with them, that's when they became mean." He claimed that he had only responded to the attacks on his character and personal insults that were directed at him when the breakups occurred, and that now he just desired peace and an opportunity to move on. However, a new wave of media attention followed after one specific interview clip of his with Sukanya Krishnan went viral. Audiences watched as Kody shared a sexual encounter that took place in college that he had never broached before. Christine, seeing the footage, later accused her ex of betrayal. She confronted him directly, asking if there were other similar experiences he was hiding during their marriage. Kody replied no, but admitted there had been moments that came close. He described his younger self as wild and Mormon naughty, clarifying, "I'd kiss and hug, but never go all the way." When the host tried to lighten the moment with a joke about Kody's long history of avoiding home runs, he cut her off. "You know what? Out of respect for my wife, I'm done talking about this," he snapped. Now Kody is legally and spiritually bound to only one woman, Robyn. Over the past 3 years, Meri, Janelle, and Christine have all walked away. And on Sunday night, his personal life weighing him down again and again as it was offered up to the world, Kody wept on television, tearful, vulnerable, and no longer master of his own story. "You can all pretend the world needs to know, but they were just joking around," Christine sternly informed Kody, after a conversation on intimacy during her interview to wrap up season 19. Kody was not in the mood for jokes. He protested, saying such conversation was not suited for the air, but suitor Sukanya Krishnan kindly reminded him that the topic wasn't even one of his sexuality, only his relationship with Robyn. However, audience members couldn't help but notice Kody's bristling. Social media grasped his response. On the Sister Wives page, one Facebook user commented, "The way he describes that experience, it sounds like he was attempting to come out to Janelle and Meri. Then he goes off on Suki when she wasn't even going there." If anything, Season 19 and its tell-alls made one thing abundantly clear. The Brown family's roots were broken much deeper than mere marriages, favoritism, changing priorities, and a relationship that never really operated under plural rules. The romantic relationship between Robyn and Kody was always at the center of the maelstrom. In retrospect, their relationship felt too intense, too exclusive, and totally misplaced in the system of plural marriage. The other wives picked up on it. So did viewers. And now, with recent admissions, it's clearer than ever the manner in which Kody and Robyn's romance started might have been a harbinger of the Browns' demise. In a candid moment during the tell-all, Janelle looked back on her early years with Kody and acknowledged that she had real regrets. "I don't know that I would have married him, to be honest," she admitted. "If I had 1 year of being alone with him, I might have gotten to know more of who he was." It was a moment of emotional weakness rare from the practical Janelle. Her statement didn't reveal only individual pain, it suggested a more profound, more persistent problem that determined the downfall of the family. TLC fans had long wondered whether Kody didn't invest equal love in all his marriages, and although Janelle didn't come at him directly, what she said was telling. There's no point in going back and tearing it all down. It doesn't help to say, "Oh, I regret it all." But the message was there. Kody hadn't been the same with all of them. And that imbalance? It was the source of the anger that split the family apart and resulted in 3 very public divorces. Let's discuss how that began. While back in Lehi, Utah, Kody was still dealing with 3 wives when he met Robyn. But instead of being careful, he dove headfirst into the new relationship, hiding the rest of the family along the way. Fans saw that season unfold, months of phone calls, weekend getaways, and that notorious pre-wedding kiss that shocked the other wives. Janelle mentioned it again in the latest tell-all. "Kody courted Robyn for a lot longer than he courted the rest of us," she told Janelle. And quite frankly, that kind of romantic buildup isn't really for a married man. They courted nearly a year. In the meantime, Janelle was working full-time to help support the family. Christine was at home, pregnant and stressed. But Kody? He was off in La La Land, infatuated, doting, and investing all his time with someone new. It didn't seem like plural marriage anymore. It seemed like monogamy. And while Kody required the other wives to keep up pretenses and remain devoted to the family, his heart and focus was elsewhere. Robyn, for years, protested that she wasn't the favorite. She maintained she didn't want special privileges. She asserted she desired all the marriages to be successful. But at last, in the newest tell-all, she said something that many had long suspected. Years of denial collapsed with a single offhand statement about the notorious luggage rack. When traveling, Kody always reserved it for himself, except when he was with Robyn. "Perhaps I just hung up my bag there first," shrugged Robyn. Asked why she was the first wife ever to be accorded that privilege, she brushed it off. It's not a big deal. To fans and to the other wives, it was a big deal. It was another affirmation of what they'd always believed. Robyn received a different Kody. She received the gifts, the love letters, the Valentine's Day celebrations, gifts for her children. And now she's profited most from the downfall of the family as well. Though she claims she still desires harmony, She's obviously gained the most from the blowback. And with the other women departed and the fabric of the family frayed beyond recovery, it's difficult to dispute further. Kody made his decision long ago. Let us hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Reality Recap for more in-depths and breaking news. Thanks for watching.